There's something sacred about a choice, something we often forget. In a world that moves so fast, where everything seems urgent, we forget that our power doesn't lie in doing more, but in deciding better. The direction of your life isn't drawn by fate. It's carved by choice. Every single day, whether you notice or not, you are choosing. Choosing who to become. Choosing what to tolerate. Choosing whether to stay the same or move toward the unfamiliar. And sometimes, the most dangerous choice is the one you pretend not to make, because silence is a choice. Avoidance is a choice. Even surrendering your will to someone else is a choice. And over time, those invisible decisions build a visible life. You didn't end up here by accident. It was a slow construction. One decision layered on another. Some made in hope, others made in fear, and many made without even knowing the cost. But the truth is, your current reality is a reflection of what you've been choosing all along, God. So, I ask you now, are you proud of what your choices have created? Or have you settled into a version of life that doesn't quite feel like yours? What do you think so far? Has this already touched something real in you? I'd love to hear your thoughts later in the comments. We grow up thinking that choice is something big, something traumatic. But more often, it's subtle. It's waking up early to start fresh. It's walking away from something that drains you. It's reaching out when pride tells you to stay silent. It's small, but it's powerful. And yet, so many surrender that power to fear, to routine, to the false comfort of not rocking the boat. But when you stop choosing intentionally, you don't escape the consequences, you just lose control over them. Thank you for staying with me. It means you're listening, not just with your ears, but with your heart. And the truth is, the most powerful part of this journey is still ahead. Stay close, because something within you is about to shift. There comes a moment in every life when we hit a wall, when everything familiar feels suffocating, and we stand there stuck between the pain of staying the same and the fear of what comes next. That's the edge of choice. It's where transformation begins, but choosing requires courage. Because to say yes to one path means saying no to another. It means letting go of old versions of yourself. It means risking the unknown. But the risk of not choosing is even greater. It's a slow death of potential. The most tragic thing isn't making a wrong choice. It's never making a real one at all. Living your whole life reacting instead of deciding, surviving instead of shaping, existing instead of becoming. And if you've been there, if you're there now, know this. It's not too late. Not ever. The door hasn't closed. It's waiting. But it won't open without your permission. You must choose. Sometimes the most powerful choice is the one no one sees. Choosing to forgive someone who never said sorry. Choosing to believe in yourself again after years of doubt. Choosing to try, even when failure feels inevitable. These are quiet acts of courage, and they change everything. But they don't always feel good. In fact, wise choices often feel uncomfortable at first because they go against the grain. They challenge your patterns. They stretch your limits. They ask you to become someone you're not used to being. That tension isn't wrong. It's sacred. You'll be tempted to wait for clarity, for permission, for the fear to disappear. But waiting is its own kind of decision. And the longer you wait, the heavier life becomes. Because the weight of indecision is crushing. It steals your momentum. It clouds your vision. Freedom comes when you decide, not when you're ready. And when you finally choose differently, even once, you begin to rewrite your story. It might be something small, like changing your tone, like ending a conversation with grace instead of resentment. But that small act sends a signal to your soul. We're moving forward. The truth is, you're not as stuck as you think. The situation may be hard, The path may be unclear, but you still have one thing no one can take from you: your power to choose how you respond. That power doesn't look like control. It looks like presence. It looks like saying, I don't know what's next, but I won't keep choosing pain. It looks like standing in the middle of your mess and declaring, this ends with me. That's where things begin to change, not outside, but inside. The moment you stop blaming, stop postponing, stop pretending. The moment you take full ownership of what you've been choosing and what you will no longer choose. You may not be able to undo the past, but you can decide what story the past will tell from now on. You can decide how it shapes you, not as a victim, not as a failure, but as a person who chose to grow even when it hurt. And when that moment comes, something shifts. You breathe differently. You speak differently, not louder but deeper, not to convince others, but because you finally believe it yourself. That is the beginning of wisdom. Not knowing everything, but knowing what matters, and choosing to live in alignment with that truth. There's something peaceful about living in alignment, not because life becomes easier, but because it becomes clearer. You stop arguing with your own conscience. You stop negotiating with your values. You choose what's right, not just what's easy. That kind of clarity doesn't come overnight. It comes through fire, through failure, through hard lessons. But once it arrives, you begin to see differently. You realize that success isn't always in the result. It's in the decision to keep showing up with integrity. You'll start to see how many choices you made to please others, to avoid conflict, to be accepted. And you'll grieve for the version of you that kept shrinking to fit into places that were never meant to hold you. But that grief is a gift. It wakes you up. It invites you to stop living a borrowed life, to stop repeating cycles that no longer reflect your truth. And it offers you something powerful, the chance to choose again. Choosing again doesn't mean erasing the past. It means redeeming it. It means using every mistake, every regret, every misstep as material for something sacred, a new path, a better rhythm, a life aligned with who you are now, not who you used to be. You'll begin to say no more often, not out of rebellion, but out of respect. Respect for your time, your energy, your boundaries, your peace, and with every no, your yes becomes stronger, more honest, more meaningful. Some people won't understand. They'll say you've changed, and they'll be right, because this is what change looks like. It's not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, intentional, but it is change. Nonetheless, you'll notice something else too. Your surroundings begin to shift. The people who once drained you drift away. The spaces that once felt too small no longer hold you. And new things begin to enter people, ideas, moments that reflect the life you've chosen to build. And suddenly, you realize you're not surviving anymore. You're living. Not chasing the next thing, but present in what's already here. Because what you chose has begun to choose you back. And all of it started not with a plan, not with a guarantee, but with a choice. A single, quiet, holy decision to take your power back and use it. The power of choice is sacred because it reflects the image of something greater. We were not created to be passive observers of life. We were made to co-create, to shape, to respond with wisdom and courage. Even in Scripture, there's a moment when it's written, I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life. That is not a metaphor. It is the reality of every day you wake up. You're offered life or something less than life, and your choice makes the difference. This is not about choosing perfectly. Perfection was never the goal. It's about choosing intentionally, choosing from a place of clarity, choosing from the deep well inside you that knows what's right, even when it's hard. And yes, sometimes you'll get it wrong. You'll choose out of fear. You'll fall into old patterns. You'll say yes when you should have said no. That's part of the journey. But every wrong turn is a chance to choose again. A reminder that your story isn't finished yet. You are not powerless, even when the world tells you otherwise. Even when your past tries to drag you back. Even when the weight of regret feels unbearable. You still have the power to decide what this moment becomes, because your story is not defined by the things that happen to you. It's defined by how you choose to respond, how you choose to rise, how you choose to carry what tried to break you and turn it into wisdom, compassion, and strength. And if you're still wondering what to do next, here's the truth. You already know. Deep down, beneath the noise and the fear, you know it needs to change. You know what deserves a yes and what no longer can receive one. So make the call. Start the process. Speak the truth. Walk away. Begin again. Whatever that step is, take it. And don't wait for everything to be perfect. Just decide that today you will no longer delay your life. Because this life, the one you still have, breath to live, is a gift. A brief, burning chance to choose something better, something truer, something eternal. And that power, it was never out there. It was always in your hands.